Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Joy Learning TV.
Learning. Once we keep learning, it means that every time we can come your way with exciting episodes of some great lessons that will help us as we prepare for any form of examination or even for our own, expectations in life. Whenever we meet them in our everyday activities, in our everyday life, we can apply these ones, the lessons and the wisdom that we get from here in solving those problems. My name is Sir Okwabi. You can call me Sir Mooks, and this is Joy Learning. And I'm glad to come your way with another exciting topic in Basic 8, STEM and Leaf Plot. A very interesting subject, a very interesting topic, and we have looked at it in various forms, and today I want us to look at the simplest way for us to understand it, okay, so that at least anytime you see it anywhere, if you are asked to apply it in any concept, you will be able to apply it. Tell your friend that the lesson has begun, and so they should tune in, they should connect to us on YouTube and then watch the exciting episode. So look at that diagram, that picture on your screen. At least it sounds, or it comes with a certain message, okay? The picture on your screen tells you of something, and it is an indication of what we want to look at today. We see a picture of something that looks like a tree, okay? And it is having the significant parts of a stem, okay? So the roots are not shown yet, but we have the stem showing, and then we have the leaves also showing, okay? So like we have indicated, the strand is called stem and leaf plot. And so it's a beautiful concept to use the tree to explain the concept or the strand. Or look at this one also. Okay, we have numbers and letters and symbols which have been designed to look like a tree, the form of a tree, okay? And we have the main stem of the tree, and it is branching to the leaves section, and the leaves are producing the letters, the numbers, the symbols, and everything that we can see in that beautiful picture. Nature is indeed beautiful. And so it is mathematics. When we understand the concept, we'll know that it is so beautiful as nature is. And so with this in mind, we want to be looking at these objectives. And the first one is for us to explain the concept of stem and leaf plots. What do we mean when we say stem and leaf plot? We'll understand it. Or with the images we saw about the tree, at least we have begun our understanding processes. And then we'll perform stem and leaf activities. I'll give you some questions, and then we plot a stem and leaf for those questions. Okay, so in the next 60 minutes or so, this is what we are going to be looking at. Okay, so stay glued. We may not even get to 60 minutes. And you see that because of how interesting it is, by the time you realize, you don't know where you are. Okay, that's great. Now, so stem and leaf plots are one of the methods by which we show the frequency with which certain classes of values occur. Okay, so we learned in statistics that sometimes we can show the effect of our survey or the results of our survey in charts or in diagrams. And they make our analysis or assessment easier. It is easier for us to analyze it when it is in chart or when it is presented in tables. So stem and leaf is one of the easiest way by which we can analyze our data by looking at which of the classes of values are occurring the more, most especially when we plot frequency distribution tables. Okay, so this is going to take the shape and form of frequency distribution tables. Okay, but this time it is being called stem and leaf plot. Okay, so it's about classifying numbers and the frequency of their occurrence, how many times they occur in each of the categories. Okay, so in the numbers that are going to be given, some of them will come to us by way of 2-digit numbers. Even sometimes you can have 3-digit numbers, and then we will know that some aspect of it becomes a stem and some aspect of it becomes the leaf. If you consider the stem of a tree, it is considered to be the part that holds the other parts in shape and in form. So by extension, it is the one which is the weightier or the mightier. Okay, so if I give you a data in 2 digits, in tens, okay, it means that there will be some aspects that are coming in tens and then other aspects in units or ones. Okay, so in stem and leaf plot, the numbers themselves are going to form the graphs. But let's take note that unlike other graphs, when we deal with stem and leaf plot, the table or the plot is going to retain its original data, okay, to at least 2 significant figures. Okay, so as I've indicated, sometimes depending on the range of values given, we can have a stem having 2 digits or a leaf having 2 digits, or sometimes 2 digits for a stem, 1 for a leaf, or vice versa, depending upon the kind of data that we are dealing with and the values that that data contains. Okay, so let's take note of that. And when we put data in this perspective, stem and leaf plot, it assists us, those of us looking at the data, to see, at a glance, what the distribution of the data. When we finish plotting, we'll see, which of the classes of numbers appears the more. We'll see it. We'll see it because you will see them concentrated at a certain part of the plot. So it means that the more numbers there are there, the more the classes of numbers also exist over there. Okay, so it gives us that picture and we can see that. And so a basic stem and leaf plot will have 2 columns. Okay, we call it stem and leaf. So one column is going to be used or be described for stem, and then the other column will be described for the leaves. Okay, so usually the column to your left becomes the stem column, and then the column to your right becomes the leaves column. Great. And so it gives us something that looks like this, okay, at a glance. Okay, so we have a stem at one side of it, the left part of it, and then the leaves also to another part of it. So if you look at this, for instance, the stem are numbers in tens, okay, in tens. And then the leaves are numbers in ones, okay, numbers in ones. And so we have 5 as a stem, and the leaves are 2 and 5. Okay, so it means by extension, if we should put it together in the raw data, it means that in the raw data, it was actually 52. Okay, 52. The stem is 5, the leaf is 2. Put together 52. Or the second one, 55. The stem was 5, the leaf was also 5. So that is how it appeared in the raw data or in the original data before it was analyzed into the plot, the stem and leaf plot. Okay, similarly, we can have a stem of 6 and the leaves of 0, 1, and 8. And that also means that in the raw data, we are having a data which is 60, a data which is 61, a data which is 68. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, so when the data is given to us raw like that, we are going to analyze it and put it into this perspective. So some of them will go to stems, which is the tens part will go to the stem, and then the units or the ones part will go to the leaves. Okay. Great. So let's know what we need to do, or we need to know by way of the steps to be able to plot or to do a stem and leaf plot. So the first thing we will have to do is to order the data. Order the data. In other words, arrange the numbers given in the data in order. And you can choose the order you prefer, but usually the ascending order is preferred. Okay, you order the data in ascending order. You arrange them beginning from the smallest or the lowest, and then all the way to the greatest or the highest or the biggest number. You sort the data in ascending order. When you have done that, then you will have to determine what the leaves represent. So depending on the data that you have been given, you can decide that, okay, I'll choose my ones to be my leaves and the digits in tens to be my stem. Okay, so determine what the leaves will represent, and usually it's advisable you do it that way. Okay, you make the leaf as the last digit in the number. It's more advisable. The last digit, so usually the ones. Even though in certain situations you could do it the other way around, it's permitted. Okay, but this is a convention, and in most cases this is what is done. Then get the two columns, one for the stem and the other for the leaf. So now you prepare your table, and then you column your first one stem. Your first column, you label it stem as a heading, and then the second column, you label it as leaves, as we saw in this one. So look at it. So to my left, the column was headed stem, into brackets tens. That means this one, we were using the tens for our stem. And then the column to my right was leaf. Okay, and we were using the ones for that one. So you two create a table like that, and then indicate that your stem is those to your left and your leaves are those to your right. Now, if there is a repeated number, remember that the plot should reflect that. For instance, you conducted a test and then 5 people got the same score. Let's know that in the data, there were 5 people who got that same score. So they should be repeated. Data that is repeated must reflect in your leaf, in your stem and leaf plot. So you see that in the stem figure will be there, and then in the leaves, it will also be shown. And if they are occurring 5 times, you see all the 5 occurrences. Okay, that is what helps us to know what we said earlier, how the data is distributed, how many of them belongs to a certain class or group of numbers. This helps us to do that. Okay, and then sometimes too we can have negative numbers. Sometimes we can even have decimal numbers. Yes, it's possible. So if you have a number which is negative, remember that you place that negative sign in front of the stem unit. So let all of us know that this stem is a negative stem, meaning that in the raw data form, it came as a negative number. So that means when you were arranging them in order, that could have, or that should have been amongst the first, if not the first, depending on how many negative numbers you have in there. Okay, so you need to be able to know these ones because they will help us in plotting our stem and leaf. And so this is where we want to begin the work. All right. And so I present to you a first example. I said that the data below, the one we see, okay, shows the marks of 25 pupils in a science test. I want you to construct a stem and leaf diagram for the data. So don't worry, I'll do it with you, but pay attention closely and let's look at it because after a while, I'll give you a challenge to handle for me. Okay, so again, this is the data given. The data to my left is the one given. Okay, that was the question. That's the table that was giving the raw data. And then the one given to my right, as you can see in the heading, arranging in ascending order. So I'm trying to arrange the numbers in the table in ascending order. Okay, so they are beautifully arranged, okay, horizontally. 10, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, 24, 24, 24. You see the 24 appeared 4 times. So I repeated all of them so that I can see, at least if I'm making analysis, I'll see how many people got 24. I can see it. Okay. So in that order, they are all arranged in order of magnitude, ascending order. That's the first step we saw. But let me indicate to you that sometimes you may decide not to order your data now. You can use the data as it is presented in this table, raw it is, unsorted, unarranged, mixed up. You can plot the stem and leaf for that, and when you finish with the plotting of your stem and leaf, you go back to your leaves and now order the leaves in your stem and leaf plot, arrange them now, and you're also good to go. Okay, so either way you want to do it, it's a choice. All we are interested in that is that be apt and pay close attention to details so that you don't miss anything or any data. Okay, so for me, I have sorted or arranged my data in ascending order, and that's what you see to my right. Okay, so now that it is arranged in ascending order, I can begin to do my plot, and that's the plot that I can have here, or as seen or as shown. Okay, so the data that I sorted is the one that I have now brought to my left. Remember, it was sorted earlier on, so it is now to my left, and now I have my stem and leaf plot on my right. So I have a 2-column table. Okay, so it's a table. Okay, it's just designed. So it's a table having 2 columns. The first column is titled stem, and then the second column is titled leaves. And remember, I have already sorted them, so I know that there are numbers in my data, the raw data given, that are in tens, like as in 10 region, the 10 region or the 10 column. That's why in my stem, I included a stem 1, because I have a stem 1 in the tens column or tens position. I have 1 in it as far as the data is concerned. For instance, I have a number like 17. That means how many tens? 1. Okay, and how many units or ones? 7. I have a number again like 10. How many tens? 1. And how many units or ones? 0. Okay, so that informed my decision to start my leaves, my stem at 1. So from 1, then I came to 2, then I came to 3, then I came to 4. Okay, so as you can see, I don't have a number in the data that is having a stem of 5. It's not there, so I didn't include it in my stem and leaf plot. Same way for 6, same way for 7, and the rest of the numbers. So my stems range from 1 through to 5. So that's why you see 1 through to 4. I don't have 5 in it. All my numbers are in the 40s. I mean the highest of them. In fact, the highest is 43. Okay, so they are in the 40s. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it ends at 4. Okay, so now I begin one after the other, being careful of what I'm doing so that I don't miss any of them. And let me emphasize that you need to pay attention to every detail and be apt with what you are doing. Just like we do frequency table where we tally. Okay, we cross it out in the data, we go and tally in the table, one after the other, so you don't miss up, the figures, or you don't miss something out of it. The same way with this one, we take it one after the other. For instance, I take the first data, 10, and already I have my stem written as 1. So at the row for stem 1, I indicate the other units or one's number indicated, which is what? 0. Okay, that's how come I have here 0, because in 10 there are 0 ones, and the ones are my leaves. So under leaves for stem 1 is 0. Okay, and because I have arranged it, I'll just go in that order. I cross this one, which is 12, still under stem 1. The leaf is what? 2, right? So that's how we see 2 over here. Then my next data is 17. Okay, so that I don't miss anything, I take my time and do it this way. Okay, so the next number is 17, still for stem 1. The leaf is what? The leaf is 7. That's why I have under leaves 7. Okay, I move on. 18. What is a stem? 1. What is a leaf? 8. So we have here 8. I'm sure you can clearly understand what is being done. Okay, then I have 19. Still under what stem? Stem 1. And what is the leaf? 9. That's why I have 9 here. You see that? Because I have ordered my numbers, it just will flow in that order as we go on, because they are already ordered, they are sorted. Okay, so I've done for 19. The next one is 20. What is the stem in 20? It is 2. Okay, and what is the leaf? 0. So under stem 2, you see I began with a 0. Okay, I began with a 0. And then this is what I do for each of them. 23, the leaf is 3. 24, the leaf is 4. Another 24, the leaf is 4, still for stem 2. Okay, another 24, the leaf is 4. Another 24, the leaf is still 4. So as many as they occur, we would show them that number of times. Okay, so this is what we do for each of them. Of course, I'm not going to go through all of that for you. What we have done and up to where we have gotten it, I'm sure the understanding should be clear now. It's the same way we do tallying in frequency tables. Okay, so you take your time. What is important is that you take your time and you do it one after the other. That's the most important thing. No error, no mistake. And you realize that by the time you finish, you will have a beautifully plotted stem and leaf. Okay, so with this, I can easily say, or I can easily ask you, how many people, got scores in the range of 40 in the science test? You can easily look at the plot and tell me. And it becomes easier telling from the plot. Okay, so in the 40s, how many digits do we have there? We have 3, which is 2, 1, 3. 3 numbers. That means there were 3 people whose scores were in the 40s. That's what it means. I can ask you, which range of numbers had the most scores? Of course, it is the range of numbers in the 20s. Look at it. Many of them were in the 20s. Many of them got a score in the 20s. 20, 23, 24, 24 alone, there were 4 of them. 27 alone, there were 3 of them. Okay, I can ask you, you can look on this and I can ask you, how many people scored more than 20? How many people scored more than 20? It means, what will you do? You have to count those number of students who scored more than 20. That means those in the range of 30s and 40s. You count their leaves and it tells you the number of them. Remember, if I pick a leaf, for instance, this leaf, which is leaf 1, remember the full number or score is 31. Okay, it's not just 1, it's 31, as we saw in the earlier, slides. Okay, so any of them you take, for instance, if I circle this 7 has a value of 27. Okay, if I circle out this 3 has a value of 43. Okay, same applies to this one. It has a value of 12. It's not just 2. It has a value of 12. And that's what it means. Okay, great. Want to believe that the lessons are becoming of an immense benefit to you. You're understanding the concept. Okay, let's stay glued to it. And, we shall be needing this maybe later in life. It's a huge lesson for us to pick. We may see it in exam or we may see it in a certain life situation that we need to apply. Okay, great. Now let's look at the second example. So let's read together example 2. We are on in 1, 2, go. The data below shows the results of 22 students in a mathematics test. So this time, masters. Okay, let's continue. Construct a stem and leaf diagram for the data. So that's the table given. Okay, this time the table looks this way. And so which way are we going? Let's see the way to go. Let's sort the data first. When we sort the data, we decide how to put the data into the stem and leaf plot. Maybe you want to use the stems as the digits in tens and then the leaves as the digits in ones. Of course, by the way this data is, that's what we should do. Okay, so let's begin with some form of activity. And so the top table, the table at the top, is the data that we're presented with. All right, in the question. The one below it is a data that has been arranged in ascending order. And like I indicated to you, don't forget, you can decide to skip the ordering of the data and, plot them the way they are in the stem and leaf plot. That one, you just write your stems and then your leaves will also come just the way they've been given. When you finish, you redraw the stem and leaf plot and now you order it well. Okay, especially in the leaves. Okay, but I choose to arrange them before doing the stem and leaf. So I have arranged them in the table we see below from the lowest to the highest. So the lowest score in the masters is 6. The highest score in the masters is 68. Okay. Now that I've arranged them, I can create my table now and put my stems and my leaves in them. So you can see that the table is constructed. Okay, a 2-column table to my right, and I have my stem indicated, I have my leaves indicated. What is my stem beginning with? Which number is beginning for my stem? 0, it is. What about my last number in the stem? 6. Okay, and how did I get that? I got that from the data that I ordered. I saw that the highest number is 68. The highest score is 68. The lowest score is 6. So that means 0 tens. It doesn't have tens. Okay, that's why I got it this way. So like we did in the earlier example, we don't need to go through again, or maybe let me do a first few of them for you. We take our time, we take it one after the other, we cross it out. Okay, it's just 6, meaning it doesn't have a stem because our stems are in tens. And this one is a single 6, no tens. In essence, 0 tens. So I go to the stem 0 and I look for the leaf 6. And so I indicate 6. Okay, so I write my 6. The first one is 6. And then I cross it again, still no tens. So I'm still under the stem for 0. And then I record the second 6. So that's the second 6 recorded. And then the next one, 7, still no tens. So stem 0, and it is 7. The next number is 17, meaning how many tens? 1 10. And so stem 1. So now I'll move to stem 1, and the leaf is 7. Okay, so that's 7. Okay, so this is what I do for each of them. And before you realize, I would have been done for all of them. For all of them. Okay? For all of them. So another 17, that means the leaf is 7. Another 17, the leaf is 7. Another 17, the leaf is 7. 18, the leaf is 8. Still under stem 1. 19, the leaf is 9. So I beg your pardon. This is supposed to be 9. Sorry about that. It's a typographical error. Okay, so it's supposed to be 9. Okay, let me do it well for us to get it. Okay, so this is cancelled. It is replaced with 9. Okay, that's it. That's good. Then 20, okay, is crossed. That means we've moved to stem 2, and the leaf is what? It's a 0. So that's it. So this is what we do for each of them. And we go all the way till we get to the last one, 68. Okay, where the stem will be 6, and then the leaf will be 8. Now, watch carefully. You will see that in my stem and leaf plot, I do not have any leaf for 5. Okay? There's nothing. Meaning that in the data, there was no score in the 50s. Okay? So, it will have no leaf. There's no score for the 50s or in the 50s in the data. All right? So, it will have no leaves. Or better still, if you realize that in writing the stem, you can take off the stem 5 because you are not going to have anything over there. You can take it out. Or you include it, but then it will have no leaf at all. Okay, so the approach you decide to use, let it be done the way it has to be done. Okay, wonderful. So we've done 2 already, and now I present to you a third example. Okay, and this time the example is coming in decimals. Decimals. So 7.6, 8.1 decimal numbers. So the time for 15 students to complete a simple pendulum experiment were recorded. Construct a stem and leaf plot for the following list of time. Okay, so we are going to construct a stem and leaf plot for it. Okay, so it's a decision to make. It comes in decimals. In the decimals, it appears all of them are in, ones. They are not in tens. All of them are in ones. For instance, 7.6, the first one. 7 ones and then 0.6. So it's a decision to make. So for me, I would maybe use my ones as my stem, and then the fractional or the decimal part for my leaves. Okay, and I think that's the appropriate thing that you can also decide to do. Okay, so when the data is given, take a look at the data and decide which parts of the data are going to be your stem and which aspect of it are going to be your leaves. In the two examples that we saw earlier on, we indicated that the ones or the figures in tens were our stems. But with this one, because of the nature of the data, we are using the ones as our stem because it just have ones and then a fractional part, like other parts in decimals. Okay, so that's it. But again, the process continues. I will have to order my numbers. Okay, so I choose to order them first. And so I order it, and then it is clearly seen in the table to my right. Okay, so you can see it there, 5.8 as the first, or in other words, the least time it took for that pendulum experiment to be done by a student. The least time, 5.8. And it is ordered, meaning the highest time it took was 9.6. So it's ordered. Once you order it and you begin to record your plots, it becomes easier. Okay. However, like I have indicated, you can also decide to plot it raw, the way they are in your stem and leaf plot. Plot it like that. Then get a second leaf and stem and leaf, and then now order the ones you have already plotted. Now order it. I mean, arrange it. Okay, when you arrange it and then it becomes orderly, it is also good to go. Okay, so for me, I have ordered my data in this table. I'm going to use that table to get my stem and leaf. And so, like I have indicated, I'm using the figures or the digits in ones to stand for my stem, and then the decimal parts for my leaves. Okay, so we can see the first one, 5.8. The stem is 5 for stem 5. We can see it. The leaf is 0.8, so it means 8. Okay, so I indicate the 8 over there. All right, and then the second data is 5.9. That means the stem is 5. The leaf is 0.9, so 9, right? So anytime I see a number here, it's going to be the stem point that number. Okay, so for instance, this 9 that we have just done, it means 5.9. This 8 that we earlier did, okay, it means 5.8. That's what it means. Okay, maybe the last two, since we have done 2 examples already. Then we have 6.1. That means the stem is 6. The leaf will be 0.1. Okay, so that's the 1 over here, meaning 6.1. All right, and then 6.2. That means the leaf is 2. Okay, 6.8. That means the leaf is 8. The stem is 6. The leaf is 8. And this is what we go through for each of them, and we do it one at a time, taking our time, not missing anything, okay, and not making an error or committing any mistake anywhere in it, okay. But we take our time and then we do it. So look at 7.3. That means under stem of 3, the leaf will be, the stem of 7, the leaf will be 3. 7.4, so that's it. 7.6, we have it here. 7.7, that's the 0.7. Okay, one after the other, just the same way we carry out our frequency distribution table. Same way. Okay, then we have 8.1, that's the 0.1. There's another 8.1, that's the 0.1. That's how we will do it until we are done with all of them. So you take your time and then you write out your leaves clearly, and then we know that you have done the right thing. Okay, so that's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you for staying with us. Okay, and then once we have done 3 of them, I want you to do this one for me. Okay, so I present to you example 4, which you are going to handle on your own in a space of 3 minutes, and I'll get back with you and see what you have done. But before then, let's read out the question. Complete a stem and leaf for the following list of values. Yes, for the following list of values. So that's a table given. Okay, I'm sure you have it. I'm going to leave it on your screen for the next 3 minutes, and then you take your pen, your book, your jotter, whatever, your notepad, whatever, and then design a beautiful stem and leaf plot for me. And then let's see what will come out of it in the next 3 minutes. Great. It's nice to be back with you after 3 minutes of work. Well, I would need you to compare your answer with what I got. And I want to believe that we are all done. We have put down something. Well, let's see whether or not what we placed there is what we were expecting. And so this is what we were expecting. Okay, I presented my stem using the figures in holes. You remember the data, look at the data again. Okay, so 23.5, they are in decimals, but however, the the whole part of the decimal are in 2 digits, okay, in their tens. Okay, so I took a decision to represent those ones as my stem. Okay, so that's why I got a stem of 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. I'm sure that's what you did. Okay, and then I plotted the leaves on them. So those ones that came in the fractional part or in the decimal part, I plotted it on them. So for instance, I'm having 23 as a stem and its leaf is 5, meaning in the original data it was 23.5. Okay, and that's what I did for each of them, for the 24, for the 25, for each of them. That's what I did. And you can see they are beautifully arranged. Okay, so I want to believe that you got this. And if you did, that's a wonderful work you have done. If you didn't even get that, I want you to look at it well. I'm sure there's something, if you go over again, you may see and maybe correct. And then your answer will look like this. But for those of us who got it right, I'm glad. And it's time that I give you yet another example to try again for me. It will be a nice opportunity for those of us who didn't get the first one to get it right now. Okay, so now, again, in 3 minutes, I give you another set of data, and I want you to do a stem and leaf plot for that data for me. So take your time this time, especially for those who made an error in the earlier trial, and let's see how this one will go like for us. Wow, welcome back after 3 minutes of work again. And let's look at what we have done within the last 3 minutes. And so this data came in hundreds, okay? So for instance, the first number is 607. So in hundreds. All of them are in hundreds, okay? And the last one given, for instance, is 408. All right, so maybe fortunately for us, let me say it that way, it appears that all the digits in the tens column are all zeros. Did you notice that? They are all zeros. For instance, in the 607, the digits in the tens column is 0. And the same applies to all the others, okay? It gives you an indication of how to put your stem and leaf together. That which one gives you your stem and which one, what do you use for your stem and what do you use for your leaves, okay? So at least I will present my answer this way by using the stems as those ones in the hundreds. Okay, so it's like in the first one, those in hundreds will have a stem of 10. Those in 200s will have a stem of 20. Okay, those in 300s will have a stem of 30. Those in 400s will have a stem of 40. Because like I indicated, all of them were having 0 in their tens position numbers. The numbers in the tens column were all zeros. So it makes it kind of easier for us to put them that way. Okay. So when it is done, it means that I'm going to use the numbers in their ones or their units to be my leaves. Okay. So then that leaves me with 2 as my first leaf for stem 10. Of course, which that will end up becoming 102. Okay, 102. So the stem is 10, the leaf is 2. Then my second becomes 9 for stem 10. Okay, which in essence is 109. Okay, so that's what I would do for each of them. Okay, so for the digits in 200s, it was just 1. Okay, so that is 204. That means that the stem is 20, the leaf is 4. So that when put together, it becomes 204. Okay, so this is what I do for every one of them. And then with that, I know that I can confidently say that I have plotted each of the stem and each of the leaf. So I want you to take note of what you did and what we have suggested here, and let's compare and see that is there something missing somewhere? Is it the same as you have it? Are we missing something or not? If something is missing, let's find out what is missing and let's trace it and then redo the thing that we are supposed to do to get the right answer. So I expect that the thing should come out with a data that looks like this. And of course, with this, I can ask you how many people in the data maybe scored more than 400. Okay, so you just have to go and count those figures which are in the digits of 500s. Okay, from the stem 50 coming downwards to stem 60, how many of the data do you have? You have 4 of them. Okay, that's for 9, for 0, for 3, for 7, meaning 509, 600, 603, 607, and then that gives us a total number of people, 4 of them. Okay, that's it. And any other kind of analysis you want to do, we'll be able to do that analysis with this plot. We can tell how many of them appears to be clustered and how many of them appears to be dispersed. These are analyses that we are going to leave for further, lessons in this category. Okay, But however, this is where the time will bring us to. And it's so exciting, coming your way, and better, more exciting that you stayed on, you stayed tuned in, and then you followed the lesson to the letter. I'm glad you did. Thank you very much for your time. This is Joy Learning. I'll come your way again with another episode, another strand. My name is Sir Okwabi. You can call me Sam Oaks. See you.
YouTube channel, Joy Learning TV.